Baby, you're a stitch man. Baby, you're a stitch man. Baby, you're a stitch man. Duh. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Well, here we are again. Stitch with me, part 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. Apologies right off the bat to anybody who was hoping that this was going to be a finish in bed with me. As much as I wanted to do that with each and every one of you. I'm sure you've seen by now on Instagram that my big princess Heaven and Earth is already finished. And no, I did not film a Stitch with me while I was finishing it, as much as I wanted to do that. I did film myself putting in the last few stitches and drinking my celebratory beer. I did get that. I did capture that moment. And I'll work that into my next floss tube. But I don't know. I finished it at like 1 o'clock in the morning on like a Monday morning or whatever the date was. And I started to film the Stitch with me, but I don't know. I just felt like if at 1 in the morning with everybody home and everybody sleeping, I was way too self-conscious about how loud I was talking, and I just kept whispering, and I just kept feeling uncomfortable. So, but I didn't want to leave it until like my next opportunity to film something with nobody listening to me or nobody being home would have been like at least 2 days later. And I didn't want to leave this tiny little corner of like 150 stitches. I didn't want to leave that staring at me and me staring at it for 2 days, knowing how close I was to finally finishing it. I just wanted to finish it. So sorry that you don't get to finish in bed with me. But you do get to enjoy a little Chessie in bed with me. This is what we're working on today. Here's what he looks like right now. I'll probably do a square or two while we're sitting here chatting. It's not going to look any different than it looks right now, but I'll get a little bit farther down the line. And look, check out the Chessie needle minder. I'll have more to say about that in my next floss tube. I'll leave that for then. Stitchy kindness. I love getting mail. I love when people are nice to me. So I wanted to do this because I know I'm a little bit late with my normal floss tube. Not that I have to stick to a schedule. Like, I'm not going to do something do one every 2 weeks just because if I have nothing to talk about or nothing to show. But I do want to do something. Even like I don't like going this long without doing something. Like one of these videos or something. Like I'm hooked now. I'm addicted. Even once every 2 weeks is not feeling like enough. I start to like crave more. I want to do more. I want to be posting more. So it might be time to, all the times that I've talked about, I might start doing other things and start posting other things. I feel like it's time now because even once every 2 weeks is not really enough for me anymore. I want to do more. So that's part of the reason, because I didn't do my normal floss tube at my normal time this week. Partially because after I finished my princess, I wanted an extra week or so to work on some of my other whips so I could make a longer floss tube with more stuff to talk about and more stuff to show and all that kind of stuff. Another reason why, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about this or not, but whatever, I'm going to talk about it. Another reason why is because the day that probably would have been my normal day to film my floss tube, I did the interview with a floss tuber with Becca from Sam Bree Stitches, and I can't do two things in one day. that's just lunacy. I'm a one thing at a time kind of a person. That was my one thing for the day. That's what I did. I can't do another thing. I mean, I could have. I had time before and after, especially before. I just spent most of my morning stressing about it, going over the questions, hiding under my blanket, trying to come up with legitimate reasons to cancel. It's just so ridiculous. I get so nervous about stuff, and like talking to people. It's awkward enough sitting here talking to no one, but talking to a real person, it's terrifying. I'm just like, why did I agree to this? Is there any way I can get out of it? I even did. I did cancel. I tried to actually cancel, and then I was just, no, I'm being ridiculous. And then I uncanceled, and like I get myself all worked up. Anyway, it ended up being a lot of fun, and we had a really good conversation. I thought I was gonna have like, you know, one word answers. I'm like, who's gonna want to, why? I don't know why she wants to talk to me in the first place, because I'm just gonna have one word answers, and this is not gonna be, you know, if I can't redo and edit myself, what am I doing? Like, why would anybody want to see that? So I was so afraid that I was gonna say nothing and have nothing to say. And lo and behold, it was like an hour and 25 minutes had gone by or something like that. It's like, she might have to edit it down. Like, I don't know. I was just rambling on and on and on about, like, I have no sense whatsoever if it's going to turn out good or not, or if I was just coherent, incoherent, rambly, interesting, funny. I have no idea. But it was a lot of fun. She actually made it really comfortable. And I don't find it comfortable to talk to very many people, but I found it pretty comfortable to talk to her. The time flew. So anyway, I don't know that I'm supposed to be talking about any of this. I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be, you know, and every Sunday or whenever she posted, surprise. But surprise, it's going to be me. Sorry to ruin it. One of the things that she kept saying to me, hang on, I have to count. I might edit out a few seconds here because I have to count. One of the things that Becca kept saying to me leading up to it, because she knew I was really nervous about it, was, and again, not because I'm nervous about talking to her or about like talking about stitching or talking about anything. I feel like I could talk about myself all day. I love talking about myself. But I'm just nervous talking to people, whoever those people are. It makes me nervous. So there's nothing and once I start doing it, I'm fine, but there's nothing that you can do to fix my nervousness leading up to it. That anticipation just kills me, and I just get more and more nervous and more worked up about it. Ask Emma. Ask Emma how worked up I was about it. She talked me out of like fleeing the country several times. I get to just go like find a hole to hide in and Lithuania or something. But anyway, one of the things that Becca said to me several times to try to make me feel better about it was, just be yourself. All you got to do is just be yourself. And not to like start like a whole sort of like conversation here that's going to make it sound like I got high before I turned this camera on, or like turn into Matthew McConaughey or something. I don't know, but be yourself really got my mind spinning like 100 miles an hour. Just be yourself. Because I couldn't help thinking like, what does that even mean? What does that mean, man? Like, Dave's not here, man. Just be yourself, man. What does that mean? Be yourself. Because I'm like, I started to think about that. Like, just be myself. Oh, I just almost knocked my camera over. Because I'm different things to different people. And hang on, I need to get rid of all this confetti here so that I can like have a proper focus on what I'm doing instead of focusing on the view. Once I get a little bit of this done, then I'm just gonna have like one color to just mindlessly stitch. But you know, I'm getting a little distracted. anyway, because I was thinking like, I'm different. Yeah, I'm a licker. I'm different things to different people. And like there are people, depending on who you talk to, depending on who has met me, and depending on which context they've met me in, that like say everybody in my life somehow like found my floss tubes and started watching them. A lot of people would watch those and go like, "Yep, that's him. that's the exact Darcy we know. That's like there's the definition of being yourself right there. He's exactly like that in real life. No changes whatsoever. That's him." Other people would watch those same videos and tell you, "Who is that guy? I have never met that guy before in my entire life." Darcy is quiet. He's shy. Some people call me shy. I've always hated since I was a kid being called shy because I'm not shy. Just because I'm quiet, just because I'm not speaking to you doesn't mean that I'm shy around you. So fuck off with your shy. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But they would probably say he's quiet. He's, he doesn't speak. He doesn't say much. He doesn't like, he seems kind of nervous. He doesn't like to be around people. He doesn't like, I never spoke in class when I was in school or university. I can be at parties or dinner parties or whatever, depending on who I'm there with, and just sort of like inject a word here and there if I have to. Otherwise, just stay silent. The old like get shorty philosophy of don't say any more than you have to, if that. That's always been my philosophy too. In some situations anyway. In other situations, I can be the life of the party. I can be. I'm not always, but I can be. But anyway, depending on who knows me from what situation, they might describe me in vastly different ways. So, because I'm different, and like we all are, everybody's like this. You're different. You're different around different people in different situations, and not everybody knows you in every context and in every situation. So, like when I was working customer service jobs, I'm a certain way. When I'm talking to my boss, I'm a certain way. When I'm talking to my coworkers who I feel like are more like my peers, I'm a certain way. When I'm talking to my wife or to my kids, I'm a certain way. To my mom, it's different. And when I am with my grandmother, it's different again. And like if I'm talking on the phone, it's different. Or like in every situation, in every context, it's a little bit different. So and when I started thinking about all of that stuff, my head started to spin. like even I get lost in it sometimes. Like just be yourself. Which self am I being? And like if I was to think of like which one is the real you? So sometimes it's hard to, I don't know. It's hard to know. Like it reminds me of an old interview I saw with Marlon Brando. I think it was with Dick Cavett, and Dick Cavett asked him about acting. Brando, maybe the greatest actor of all time. How are you such a great actor? How do you act, or what are your like techniques or your methods or whatever? Like, how can you act like this? And Brando's answer was kind of along the lines of everybody's an actor. We're all acting. When you're, I don't know, talking to your kids, or you're disciplining them, or you have to even like just pretend that like, well, I don't actually think this is a big deal, but I can't let them get away with this. So you're going to be a certain way. You're acting. Or then you talk to your grandparents in a certain way. You're acting. Or you have to be pleasant around customers, or you have to be aggressive and assertive in another situation. You're like, everybody's acting all the time. So you just become an actor. We're all actors. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're fake. I think that's a whole different thing. Like, just because you're acting doesn't mean that you're being fake. Like, all of those things are still you, or still me. Like, all those versions of me that I'm talking about, they're all still me. But the me that I show to these people versus the me that I show to these other people versus the me that I think that I am in my own head, it's really confusing. I feel like I'm high right now just thinking about it. So I heard Kaylee say in her video too, something along those lines of like, she was all hopped up on caffeine and she was being real silly, a little bit more than usual, which I loved. I thought it was fantastic. But she said something similar about like still deciding how much of the real me I want to show you. Like, the real me, like, what? That doesn't necessarily mean that what you're showing is being fake, but it's just another one of those things of like, even making these videos is a whole other context of like, who's going to be watching and what are they going to respond to or not respond to, and do I need to alter what I say or the way that I say it in order to to reach people, or the people that I am trying to reach, or not turn them off, or not, like, I don't know, it's too much. Sometimes it's just too much. and even before I started making floss tubes, because I thought about it for like about 2 years, and I talked about it with people, and like I would have ideas, and like, what, I could do this and I could do this, and I had all these wild ideas, and I would get those from some people. I would get those same kind of like hesitations or like advice or thoughts or whatever about like, well, because people's idea of everybody is kind of just a stereotype. Like, so, okay, like, you're bursting in this like manic, vulgar man who's like trying to burst into this community of little old ladies and grandmas with their glasses at the end of their nose. This is what people think. This is what people think when you think about like, I want to make videos for people who like cross-stitching. Well, you're going to scare away all the grandmas who are you're trying to like, that's everybody's perception, which is, that's not what it's like at all. Like, Claire, are you a grandma? I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, it's not all grandma. And for speaking, and not only that, but I feel like a lot of the people who are of a certain age or a little bit older, or grandmothers or whatever, now that I've gotten to know a lot of people, maybe they would be a little offended. Actually did knock over my camera that time. Maybe they would be a little bit offended by that too, that like a lot of the people that have given me messages of like support and how much they love me and how funny they think I am and how much they don't care about the fuck this and fuck that or whatever, a lot of them are older people. A surprising amount of them. Like, let's like, just because you have grandkids, like, I feel like we have this vision in our head of like people who are a little bit older, or like who are our grandparents, because in the same way that we are a certain way around our grandparents are probably a certain way around us too. So it's hard to picture them. Like, even for me, I might shudder at the idea that my nanny is gonna watch my videos, because she's my nanny and she doesn't hear me say fuck this and fuck that and act like a crazy person and drink beer and stuff like that, and like, I don't do that in front of her, but she might think that's hilarious. Because just because she's my nanny doesn't mean that she's not a human being with a sense of humor who, like, I might be a grandfather someday. Can you imagine that? Like, Do you think anybody's gonna have to watch themselves around me when I'm old? Let's hope not. I'm gonna be as I would hope, this as nutty and with the same sense of humor and everything about me now, I would hope would only get bigger and better as I get older and older. So like, just because you're a grandparent doesn't necessarily mean that you automatically have to be a certain way and say certain things around them. At least in my experience so far, that has absolutely not been true. Maybe not for everybody, but no different of a percentage of people of this age versus a younger age. Some of these people don't like me. Some of these people don't like me. It has nothing to do with how old you are. So anyway, my point, I think, that I was trying to get at was I got a lot of sort of like advice, if you want to call it that. You know, when I would have my nutty ideas, or this is what I'm going to do, or this is what I'm going to say, and people would tell me that you shouldn't do that. You're gonna you're gonna be shunned right from the very beginning. You get it? Like, do you want to just like go in there as some sort of like, you know, just to shake it up for a video or two and then get like sent into exile? Or do you actually want people to watch you? Because if you want people to watch you and you want an audience, you don't want to turn them off, you have to be a certain way. You can't say this and that. You can't get drunk. You can't say fuckity fuck 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 and play your ukulele and sing a song that's called fuck fuck fuck. You just can't do that. This is what I'm told. So, you know, and I thought a lot about that, like, but it just, the more that I would, and I'm not doing that, like, I'm not here to just say fuck, like, I'm not, it's not about that. It's just about like what I think is fun and what I think is funny and what I might say when I'm talking without thinking about it, or like, you know, me being me. Exactly what we're talking about. Be yourself. This is myself. And people are telling me before I even do it that you shouldn't be yourself, even though people would say it, like, everybody's default answer is just be yourself. Okay, so when I talk about the things that are me being myself, well, maybe not that, and then maybe not that, and then maybe not that, well, maybe not that either, or maybe not that, like, I mean, you do what you want to do, but like, this is only going to last one video before everybody just like turns their backs on you and you're not allowed in the group anymore. So like, okay, so be myself, but don't be myself is what, like, it's just so like, it's so much for my brain sometimes. And like, I take a lot of this stuff to heart, and I think a lot about it. What do I want to do, and who do I want to do it for, and what do I want to, until finally, hang on, I have a knot. Fucking knots. So there's all the blah, 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 and all the things that go on in my brain, and all the ideas that people put in my head, and all of the everything about, like, be yourself, but don't be yourself. And like, it's just so much sometimes. So until finally 2 years later, I kind of just had enough. Just like, I want to do what I want to do, and I want to do it the way that I want to do it, and people can like it or they cannot like it. Let's just see what happens. Like, I just feel like if I'm going to do these things in the way that everybody's telling me that, like, if you want to build your audience and you actually want people to watch, you're going to have to do things in a certain way. I can't do things in that way. And if I try to do it that way, you're going to know instantly how that's fake. That's fake, and people can spot fake from a mile away. So like, I couldn't do that. So I just do what I do the way that I do it. And like, let's see what happens. And lo and behold, what happened? Like, I'm not saying that I'm like king of the world or anything, although I am saying that. Let's be real. That's what I'm saying. Lo and behold, it's maybe a little bit not what people were used to, and not in the way that they were used to it, maybe. But all of the exact things that I was warned against, and all of the reasons I was given for why I shouldn't do those things or say those things in those way and in that way, who's having the last laugh? Because none of those warnings seem so far, except for maybe like, the few people. There are people out there who don't like me. I know this. Not everybody likes me, but for the most part, like, would you want me to alter the way that I am in my video? Would you want me to not be so silly? Would you want me to not be so drunk sometimes? Would you want me to be put on a suit and tie and be a little bit more professional? I don't feel like anybody would want any of these things. It's the complete opposite of what I was warned against. Like, don't be yourself. And then I was just like, no, I'm just going to be myself. And people have responded really, really positively, like overwhelmingly positively, which, like, when I think about it, sometimes almost makes me well up with tears because here I am so not just with this, but like for a lot of my life, doing a lot of different things, being told, don't do that, don't say that, change that, edit that, fix that, you can't do that, because I'm doing stuff the stuff that makes me the most excited in the way that makes me the most excited about it. People tell me, they cringe and be like, I don't know how people are going to respond to that, or you shouldn't do it like that, you shouldn't. And anytime that I've ever actually slipped some of that by, like in work or school situations or whatever, and just done what I wanted to do in the way that I wanted to do it, every single time that stuff has been met. That's my best stuff. That's the stuff that I got the highest marks on. That's the stuff that, like, I get the most praise for, or like, always. And yet the warnings keep coming about how you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. So why do I even talk to people? I don't know what my point is, but it just doesn't seem. It seems like people have this, like, concept of people, and like what people, like, if you're talking to people, you have to talk to them in a certain way, and you have to be like, I would agree with like, be respectful, like, but I don't feel like I'm disrespectful just because I swear, or just because I, like, am silly. Like, there might be, like, a little bit of a fine line there between, just saying fuck for the sake of saying fuck, or like just saying it because you're just being yourself and doing what you do, and just doing it in the way that you're doing it. People can tell when you're being yourself and when you're not. And whether it's their cup of tea or not, or the way that they are or not, I feel like people respond to people who they can tell are doing things in the way that they want to be doing them. Like, what am I trying to say? Like, I might not be enthusiastic about what I'm watching you do, but I'm enthusiastic. My enthusiasm comes from your enthusiasm. I can tell that you love it, and that makes me love it. I can tell that you are having fun, and I can tell that you are being you, and I can tell that you are excited about what you're talking about, and you're not trying to, like, play to some kind of, like, what you think is an audience or whatever. You're just being you, and you're being excited about the things that make you excited, and that makes me excited. And I feel like that is what makes people excited. And I hope that that's what I do, and that's why people have responded so positively. So I'm not really sure if I have a point here other than, like, I guess, hey to all you people throughout my life who have told me don't do that, or don't do that in that way, because okay, you're being you, but people aren't going to like that. Maybe go fuck yourself. I don't know. Is that my point? Is that the point I'm trying to make here? I don't know, because I'm having the exact opposite reaction to, and like what people warned me, if you do that, this is what's going to happen. That's not what happened. What they told me was going to happen is not what has happened. Not in this situation, not in any situation. Even in university, I used to do projects and papers and stuff like that where like sometimes I would just go off the rails and just do it my own way. Just fuck this. I can do this better, even if I'm not following the instructions exactly the way that I'm supposed to be following them. This is taking me in my own direction here, and this is what feels right, and this is how I'm going to do it, and that's the way I'm going to do it. And that has always worked for me, even when the acknowledgement is there that, hey, you didn't follow my instructions, or you didn't do exactly what you were supposed to do. But you're right. I can't give you a bad grade. One of my professors actually said that to me before. You clearly didn't follow the instructions and have never, written a paper in this format and didn't do what I asked you to do, and blah, 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 blah. However, this is so well done and so well written that I have no choice but to give you an A. That's what it was, the actual comment on my paper. Like when you do something that's just so you and so good. I'm not going to say like so good, but it just, the reason it was good is because it was so clearly like it wasn't like forced into like, the box of whatever the rules were. It was just like, this is what this paper is about, and this is what this project is about, and this is the direction that it's taking me in, and this is what feels right. And she agreed with me. Like, this is what we should always be doing, isn't it? This is the way that everybody should always be doing everything. You know it's right when it feels right. Sometimes there's just not really that much more to it than that. Like, I'm a really good writer, and people have asked me for advice about writing, and like, but I don't know like a lot of technicalities about like nouns and verbs, and this needs to go here and this is whatever. All I know is I can tell you that sounds right and that sounds wrong. It's just the way that it hits me in the gut when I hear it. There's something wrong with that sentence, or there's something wrong with the way you said that, or there's something feels awkward, like about like I can tell that something is off. And usually, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, but with stuff like that, the problem usually is exactly what I'm talking about. People are trying to change themselves to fit into what they think they're supposed to be doing instead of just doing what they do. Because so often I would have friends come to me writing papers or whatever and ask me for help, and they would read a sentence or a paragraph to me, and they would say, what's a better way to say this, blah 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 blah, and they would read it to me, and I would say, what do you mean what's a better way to say? You said it perfectly. Like, you just because you're not breaking up the thesaurus, because like, well, shouldn't I have a fancier word here, or shouldn't I make it sound better here, or shouldn't I use like, make myself sound smarter, or make myself sound fancier in this paper or whatever? Not if that's not a word that you would normally use in your regular vocabulary. If that's not a word that you would use, then why are you using that word? You can tell that it doesn't belong there, because you would never use that word, or you would never say it that way. So why are you saying it that way? And why are you using that word? You're the one writing the thing. Say it the way you would say it. Is this the way you would say it? You just said it to me. If that's the way that you would say it, then that's the perfect way to say it. Anyway, I've drifted off into so many directions here. I'm not even sure what my original thought was, or if I had any kind of a point. I guess it's more just like about being being yourself, and you know what that means and who that is. Because sometimes when I hear myself, even when I hear myself speak to people, or if I'm like, you know, when I was working in customer service and I would hear myself speak to customers, or I get on the phone and I hear myself, I can hear as I'm speaking, I have a voice in my head that is just like, who are you and why are you talking like this? Like I don't even recognize myself as I'm speaking. It's like a stranger's voice is coming out of my mouth. And one of the reasons that I love making these FlosStube videos so much is because when I watch those back, that is the guy in my head. Like, that's if who I think that I am, and the way that I think that I say things, and the way that the me that is me when it's just me. I recognize that guy. when I watch those videos, I don't feel like that feeling that I get sometimes when I hear myself and I'm like, I don't recognize myself, and like, why am I talking like this, or why am I saying it this way, or like, who is this stranger that's stolen my vocal cords? When I watch my FlosStube videos, I recognize that guy. That's me. that's how I see myself. That's how I am in my head. That's how I am when I'm alone. That is how I would describe myself if you were to ask me to just forget about what other people would say about you, or what you think other people think of you. What do you think of yourself, and how are you? And who are you? That's me. That's the guy right there. And that's one of the reasons that I love doing these so much, is because it's one of the rare times that I've like been able to like publicly, you know, announce myself as like the person that I perceive myself to be in all of his full glory. There he is. That's me at home. That's me alone. And that's me for all of you. And the fact that you've all responded so nicely and kindly and very enthusiastically, and like it touches me. I don't really know how else to say that. Like, you know, I have spent a lot of my life feeling like I was kind of like on my own little island of like, and that's the reason why I would be quiet or not want to talk to people or not want to do or say certain things, is because like I'm always told not to, and I don't know how people are going to react, and like I don't know how to do it other than like when I'm just alone in my head. Is the only time I know how to really be me. And now that I have been doing it on camera, the dude who lives in my head is out there on the screen, and everybody seems to really like him. It's just like, it's not only that I can finally get him out, it's that people have responded so positively. Like, I can't get over it. I don't even, like, it makes me like I'm at a loss for words even right now, that all of these fake versions of myself that I've had over the years, if I've ever had to like be anywhere except hiding in my hole, is now out there, and people like him. So kind of in that same train of thought, I guess, although maybe not really. This is just sort of like, I thought maybe I'd be rambling enough that I'd be done this by now and not have to talk about anything else, but I'm not. I've still got a little ways to go here. The other thing that has been sort of like an awesome, like, touching kind of experience for me so far has been making actual friends who like share my love of this. This has been another thing that like sometimes I even think to myself, like, it's amazing that I stuck with this. Like, I must really love cross stitching, because for my entire life, other than my mom, really, I'm gonna say, like, I've had people that can sort of appreciate that it's a lot of work, or they really like the finished thing, and like, wow, like, it's impressive, but they don't really get it because they don't do it. Like, I've never had stitchy friends before. I'm trying to do this upside down. What am I doing? I've had my mom, and like my sister at least knows how to do it and like can appreciate the work that goes into it, but like there's not too many other people throughout my life that have been able to share my passion for stitching. So like I've been doing this since I was like 10 years old, and stuck with it for all these years and loved it so much, even though I didn't have anybody to share it with. And like that's a really, I'm finding that that's a really big component for me that was missing. Maybe I didn't realize how badly that was missing, because that's a really big part of this, dude. Like, to have people, you know, not to heap praise on me. Like, it's not okay. It is all about that. That's no, I'm just kidding. Like, it's not because I'm looking for that. It's because I'm like, people who just share the love of stitching. I have never experienced that before, ever. Like, even a tiny bit. Like, I've had that same love for it for as long as I can remember, but not only have nobody to share it with, but in a lot of cases feel like I kind of need to hide it. Like, I'm gonna get made fun of, or I have been made fun of, or like, you know, it's not a cool thing for, you know, a 16-year-old guy to be in high school bragging about his needlepoint. Like, you know, it was for a long time kind of felt like my secret love that I wouldn't even tell people. Like, sometimes people would even see my stitchings if they would come to my mom's house and not even know or even believe that they were mine. I've never talked about it. I've never even, like, even on my Facebook page, I don't know that there might be a couple here and there, but like maybe not even like that. Like, I never shared my cross stitching stuff with anybody because I just felt like, I don't know. I don't really know why. For a while it was because, you know, it's a little old lady thing and people are going to make fun of me, or people, if I would say it, people would make fun of me, or, you know, even as an adult. I remember I had a job once, we were in a training class and we were doing some of these like getting to know you activities, and, you know, who has like the best this, or who has the funniest this, or blah 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 blah, and I was voted weirdest hobby because I said that I did this. Like, here I'm like grown man in my 20s, and even still I feel like I'm in junior high or high school again, because my training class for my new job is voting me weirdest hobby. That's the reaction that I've always expected for my entire life, because I've never known anybody that even does it, or even knows how to do it, or knows what it is, let alone shares my passion for it. So anyway, long-winded way to say that, like, it's been a really awesome experience to be getting to know people who share the passion for this, and can appreciate it, and can appreciate the enthusiasm. Like even when I finished my Princess Heaven and Earth a week ago, or however long ago that was, just posting that on Instagram and like seeing the pictures and the comments, or like the pictures, the likes and the comments and the like the messages from people, and the like the that's how I felt every time I've ever finished anything. And that's like sort of in my head what I've always imagined should be the reaction to like, hey, I finished this awesome thing again. Let's all jump for joy and rejoice like together, like when somebody finishes something, and like let's all like share with the community, and we can all be really happy together. But I've never actually experienced that until that, like a week ago. I like normally would finish something like that on that of that, you know, awesomeness or scale or whatever. Like I've done other Heaven and Earth, I've done some great things, and when I finish them, I'm alone. I look at it and I iron it, I stare at it, I take a picture of it, I send the picture to my mom, and that's it. On to the next thing, I guess. Like there's nobody to share it with. Like not that I necessarily need that, but because obviously I've gone 30 years without having that, and I still love it just as much, but having that does feel pretty awesome. and just getting to know people and to like feel like I have made like some actual friends, not just people who like are like regularly comment, or we follow each other and I'll comment on your stuff and you'll comment on my stuff or whatever, but people who I feel like if we lived closer together, we would be real life friends. And like just because we don't live next like close to each other doesn't mean that we're not friends. Like we're friends. We're friends. But like, you know, like Emma, if I lived near Emma and I would be real life friends. And like not just her, like several people. And that's been awesome too. I don't have a lot of friends. believe it or not. You know, I could. It's not like I'm unlikable. I'm pretty likable, but like I just don't make the effort to like maintain my friendships and, you know, get out of the house and go do things with people. And like, so like I don't have a lot of friends, which is fine. Like, but having friends with similar interests and like having to like sort of like gotten to know some certain people, losing my train of thought, but it's been another one of those like thank you because that's was sort of like a missing part of my whole experience that I don't think I realized was missing until now that I have it, and I don't know what I would do without it. I remember when I started floss tubing, I was nervous about the people aspect. Like I didn't want to just be a guy who like here's my I'll post a video and then I'll go like hide in the corner of my room and like I'm not going to speak to anybody and I'm not going to do, you know, I'm not going to be part of the community. I'm just going to like here throw out my video, see if anybody watches it, and then go hide from them. That might have been my instinct because that's what I do in my life, but that I didn't want to do that this time. So I remember thinking like trying to make an effort to, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but like I want to be part of I don't want to just be like a injecting a thing here and there into the community. I want to be part of the community. So that means that I'm going to have to try to get to know people. And the first person that I ever like sort of like actively, I felt from like watching her video, I kind of felt this like, I don't know if connection is the right word, but let's say connection. That just from the video that I thought that I want to be friends with this person. How do I go about it? This is my first, I'm going to reach out to somebody with the intention of making friends with them. I'm going to like, as a 30-something-year-old man, how do I make a friend? I'm going to try to do it, and I'm going to try to do it with Claire. Claire was the first person that I ever sort of like actively reached out to and said, will you be my friend? I want to be friends. And lo and behold, We're friends. I feel like we're friends. I mean, I don't just feel like we're friends. Like, I'm just thinking, what do you mean you feel like we're friends? Are we not? Are we not? We're friends. And if we lived closer to each other, we would be real life friends too. Let's go out and have coffee, or like let's come over and like our kids can play together or something. I don't know. I don't know what people do. I have no idea what people do. But I reached out to Claire because I wanted to make a friend, and I made a friend, and now Claire and I are friends, and it makes me happy. And I've done that with a few other people, and people have done it with me too, which is fantastic. Don't be shy. I love making new friends. I've had a couple of people do exactly to me what I did to Claire. About like, hey, Mr. Stitch man, like I know I have no business messaging you or whatever. First of all, which is ridiculous. And like maybe you'd want to like talk to me or yes, I do. I do want to talk to you, and I do want to be friends with you. Don't be shy. And I know it's like, I'm not great always at like, I'm going to keep a full-on conversation with you going day after day after day, but that doesn't mean that like you can just message me with your random thoughts or your random like we don't have to have a topic. Like that's what I do with Emma. Emma, I actually do message every single day, and if we go a day without talking or messaging, it feels weird. I have to find some just random thing to send her or something, because I talk to Emma every day, and it's great. Emma and Claire and Joe, Belushi Stitches Joe, and Betsy, and I don't want to just name everybody. I'm like, well, what about me? Like I thought we were friends. Who we are friends? It's like the point is like I've got people. Jacob, I'm not gonna leave Jacob out, because Jacob and I, maybe not like as frequently. I don't message Jacob my every thought the way that I message Emma, but Jacob and I have had some good conversations and some like really funny random thoughts too. Like Jacob's a good guy. Everybody, I love everybody. I love being part of the community. I love that I know people who care about stitching, and I hope someday that we can all get together. All of us, even the like everybody, like, and you don't have to be a FLOSSTUBER to be my friend. That's ridiculous. Like I've had a couple of messages from people that like, we're just a person. Like so sometimes, and I'm not like I live in Fredericton, New Brunswick. I'm sitting on my bed in my my shorts that have a hole in the crotch. Like I'm not somebody you have to be intimidated by to like send a message or to like reach out and ask if you want to be friends or whatever. Like, or because I've had even some people who have messaged me like, oh, I know what, like I'm not a FLOSSTUBER, like I'm not Emma or I'm not Claire or whatever. Like what does that even mean? Like you don't have to be. There's not some sort of ranking system, or there's not some, well, let me inspect your video first before I'll talk to you. Like I have friends that are just people who message me who don't FLOSSTUBE, or just people who just message me on Instagram, or like Emma was one of those people before she started making videos. I felt like I was friends with Emma before she started FLOSSTUBing. I've got some friends that are just Instagram, not just Instagram friends, but like I just mean that like you don't have to be a FLOSSTUBE friend to be a friend, or to if you want to talk to me, I'll talk to you. Speaking of which, though, here's a random tangent thought. For anybody who might be thinking right now, well, I have messaged you and you don't write back to me, or you didn't write back to me. Sometimes, and this happened when Emma first messaged me too. It was a long time before I wrote back to her, because if I'm not also following you, like if you follow me but I don't follow you, and you send me a message, it goes into a different folder than my regular inbox. It goes into like other, and I very rarely think to check that. I don't get notification. Maybe I should check my settings or something, because I don't get notifications when like if somebody has sent me a message and it ends up in that other folder. And I very rarely think to go looking in there. So, hang on a second. Twisty, twisty, twisty. There have been... Oh no, what'd I do? Did I lose my needle in bed? Yeah, I think I did. Don't tell Melissa. Where did I put that? I have a needle minder. Why isn't it on? Oh no, here it is. It's on my shorts. So if I haven't written back to you, okay, well, I'll separate my thoughts here because I'm jumbling. If your message ends up in that other folder, I need to be better about checking it, because I don't always check it, and that might be why that happened. And it's not like I'm not following you because, you know, like I'm some kind of snob. If you want me to follow you, I'll follow you. If you just send me a message and say, how come you're not following me? I'll follow you. When people follow me, I generally check their I'll click on their name, and if it looks like they post a lot of stitching stuff, I'll usually just automatically hit follow. Or I don't know. Sometimes it's arbitrary, or sometimes I just miss people, especially if a bunch of people follow me all at the same time, and then my notifications start getting pushed down. Like, some people just get lost in there. I'm sorry. Like, your Stitch Man is a popular guy. Like, I don't know. So I have no, I know this would be, I wouldn't do this to somebody, but I'm not going to make fun of you, or I'm not going to like think that you're weird if you message me and say, I'm following you, how come you're not following me? I'll follow you. If you want me to follow you, I'll follow you. Some people's accounts are private, and I don't know if you want me to follow you if you follow me, or like if you're not like stitching related, and like, why is I follow Darcy because I like his stitchings, but why is he following me? So he can see like pictures of my grandkids or whatever. Like, if you don't have stitching pictures, I don't know. I will. We can be friends, but I sometimes I'm not sure if you want me to do that or not. Like, I overthink everything, every single thing. I overthink everything. So like, if your account is private, should I send you a request? Or like, are you a stitching person? Or you just want to follow me, but you don't want me to have anything to do with you? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't know. I'm not special. So anyway, also, and I'll use that as one excuse why I don't write back to some people. The other reason I have absolutely no excuse for, because I know that this has happened, and as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, there's one sitting there right now that I haven't responded to, is because sometimes I'll read like, if you send me a message, I'll read it, but not respond right away, and think that like I'm intending to respond. Like, I'll come back to that later, or I want to think out my response first if you ask me a question, or like, you know, whatever it is, I'll come back to that and respond later, and then I don't. I almost never do. It's because I just forget, and then the other people message me, and then as they do that, yours gets pushed down, and like, I know that's just like, that's no excuse, but that's my excuse. Like, if you see that I looked at your message and I didn't respond to you, that's not like, don't take that as some sort of like sign of disgust or aggression on my part. That's just, I read it when I wasn't able to respond, and then I forgot. There's really nothing more to it than that. So I'm sorry. But anyway, the point is, I like making new friends, and I like when people message me, and I like messaging them, and I like getting to know people, and I'm happy to do it more, and with anybody who wants to. Or I don't know. I really appreciate and value the friendships that I've made so far, especially with the aforementioned people, Joe and Claire and Emma and Betsy and others, etc. Those four, etc. Noah too, obviously. Noah, I love Noah. I adore Noah. Noah and I, though, not to like ruin the fantasy of like this great bromance that we've got going on here. Noah and I communicate more through our videos than we do like sending actual messages to each other. I'm not sure why. We have, like, it's not like we haven't. We have messaged each other. You know, I tag him or I put him in my story. He puts me in his story, and we send our messages or like what like we do, but not as much as some of my other people. Noah and I are more like we communicate through video, which is fine. But like I include Noah in like my list of like best FlossTube friends that I've made so far. I love Noah. And there's lots others. There's lots more too. There's more. There's like I kind of feel bad mentioning specific people because other people are going to be left out. Like I'm not looking to leave anybody out. Anastasia, I love you too. Anastasia has been like a real good friend of mine since like she's one of the first friends that I made. The first person that like gave me like a real big long shout out too, like back when I only had like 1 or 2 videos, was Anastasia. I got really excited about that. So she's been in my corner like right from the very beginning, which I really appreciate. And she's been a good friend too. Anyway, point is, I love my friends. I love making new friends. I love how much we all love stitching and how great everybody is with like support and encouragement and enthusiasm. And it's just like it's everybody, and it's like infectious, and it's so I feel like it's such a great positive community that even the people, and like maybe other people might have a different experience than me, like I granted, but like I know for sure that plenty of people don't like me and don't like my videos and don't like what I'm doing and don't like the way that I'm doing it. I know they don't. But other than like a thumbs down, which is like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I don't get too many just flat out nasty comments. So I kind of feel like even the people who don't like me or don't like a certain person or whatever are generally still kind of nice about it, like to just like, okay, I'll just move on to the next person then and not go out of my way to be an asshole. That might not be true of everybody. You might be thinking like, no, people are assholes. People have messaged me like some pretty nasty shit or whatever. Like maybe that I'm sorry about that. I haven't gotten too much of that yet. A little bit here and there, especially like, you know, people don't like when you even hint at, you know, certain things, like heaven forbid, you know, like I'm from Canada. I'm a man in his 30s. For not only those, like, I mean, that doesn't necessarily give you all the information you need, but like, especially like all the times that I've fawned over Justin Trudeau and like all, like you might assume that I'm not the biggest fan of Donald Trump, but you know, heaven forbid I actually mention that once in a while, because the few times that I've hinted at that or flat out said that, those are the ones where you get the people that like, okay, now I'm just gonna be nasty, or like okay, whatever. Like anyway, whatever. I guess my point is like, unless I've like nudged at something like that that's like a little bit more polarizing, like just from me being me and making the videos that I make, I haven't found that the people who don't like them have been mean about it. So like, I'm just saying that like in general, everybody seems to be kind of like, it's a pretty positive community to be in overall. That has been my experience. The people that don't like me don't go out of their way to be extra mean to me. I'll give them a thumbs down though. Like that's about it. Okay, that's fine. I can handle that. It's just if you're gonna go out of your way to like take some time to just write some nasty shit or whatever, like it's happened. Like I'm sure it's happened to everybody, but overall, it doesn't happen like the way that you would think that, like, you know, welcome to the internet, everybody's just going to get on your case about everything and it's going to be a nightmare. It hasn't been. It's been an overwhelmingly positive experience, for which I am truly grateful. And with that, I finished 2 squares, and it's been over an hour at least, I would say. I don't know, this breaks it up into like smaller sections here, so I can't actually see in one long stretch how long it's been, but it feels like it's been over an hour. So I think I'm gonna leave it there, and I'll see you soon this week. You're gonna get like, I know I might be a little bit late with my regular video, but you're gonna get saturated with Darcy this week. You're gonna get sick of me. I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna have my normal floss tube. I'm gonna have the Sam Bree Stitches interview with the FLOSSTUBER, and if I have time, I'm gonna try to do one of those other things that I've been talking about, like something, just something. I don't know. I might squeeze another thing in there. So there's gonna be, you're gonna be sick of me by the end of the week. But anyway, here it is. Here's my 2 squares. Here's my second stitch with me. I hope it was somewhat enjoyable. I hope you got some stitching done. I'll see you soon. Happy stitching.